Welcome to the KDrama Show. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kim.
We're here to unpack your all-time favorite Korean dramas and chat about all the reasons that we find these shows so charming.
And so addictive. And we know you do too, so settle in with some ramen and a boba tea while we dive into the KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim. Alright, so we're back with the KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim.
We're just jumping in today.
We're just jumping in. Yeah, it's past the witching hour, I think.
Yes, we're getting close to the point where we are going to be a little bit goofy here.
A little.
We are always goofy.
We're always goofy.
So we ended last episode with MiSo and YeongJoon finally figuring out how to communicate. And
been working out some relationship kinks.
Yeah, just she tells him that there's only one word that keeps coming to mind, and it's bulldozer. And he gets some great relationship advice from Yushik of like, you need to pace yourself, friend, or you're gonna lose her. Calm down. Use your brain. That's why you have one. You call it sexy, so come on. We have some sweet moments with Queenam and Jia.
Yes.
There's a friendship that has been built now at this point, at the very least.
Maybe a little bit of spark starting to...
Oh, there's some sparks. I would agree. We also have SeRa and Secretary Yang being all cutesy with each other. But we ended last episode with MiSo going to YeongJoon's house and telling him, like, I'm also sorry for not taking your feelings into consideration. Because she said, I'm going to stay. And he goes, well, if you stay, I'm not controlling myself tonight. She stays the night. And we end with telling her that he loves her and her also reciprocating, you know, I love you. And that's the first time that we've heard her say that to him. And so, yeah. We start episode 14 with the next morning. And YeongJoon is sitting in bed and he's having a great morning.
Ogling her.
He gets like this smile on his face because he looks next to him, but then MiSo's not actually next to him. She walks in and she's wearing his shirt, like his button-up shirt. Mm-hmm. We know in American dramas that's a whole thing. I mean, I think that's just dramas across the world.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. But he looks at her and he goes, I didn't know that outfit could be so dangerous. She's like, the board is going to have to remove me for negligence. Yep. And he tells her that she's too pretty for him to go back to work. That outfit shakes his composure and self-restraint. And MiSo just, like, looks at him. She's like, how have I not, like, you're not the same person that I look at now that I've known for the past 9 years. And he's like,
you're much more hormonal.
What? But she's like, you're better than I expected. Yeah. Which is true because he's grown into this person.
Knowing how to take his feelings of affection for her and put them into action and kind of speak her language a little bit. So they're at breakfast. YeongJoon tries to be really sweet and serve her a little bit of salad at their meal, which, you know, not an American thing.
No.
Definitely other culture-y, but looks much healthier than American breakfast.
Yes. Very.
But MiSo really is struggling to accept this gesture. Like, she
doesn't know how.
She takes the plate and immediately sets it in front of him. And he goes, I prepared this salad for you with my own hands. Why are you giving it back? And she says, I don't know how to accept your help because my job is to make your life easier. It has always been, you know, at work or outside of work. There is no line drawn. So she's just not sure. She still sees him as vice chairman in that way, I think.
Well, and then he tells her, well, I have a similar problem of I'm waited on constantly. And I don't want to do that. Like, I want to find ways to serve you and take care of you. And so they have a mutual agreement of, like, okay, we'll work on this, of, like, trying to find ways to...
Well, he tells her, your words are saying that you understand, but your face is saying that you don't.
Well, yes, that's very true.
But even, like, my hubby says, you know, guys just like to feel useful. They want to feel like they're needed.
Yeah.
And not like they have to do everything for you, but, you know, everybody wants to feel needed once in a while.
Absolutely.
So Team's back at the office. They are discussing scheduled days off, and they ask Guinam if he's, submitted his through his previous team, and he goes, I don't need any more rest than the rest that I get at the end of the day, obviously. And then his one teammate goes, you sure make a lot of unnecessary comments. And then YeongJoon walks in.
These two get literally, pardon the vulgarity, they got a straight up pissing match.
Yes, they do. Because YeongJoon walks in and they bow, and then they bow a little lower, and then they look at each other and they bow to their kneecaps.
They are folded in half, and they're just like come on.
It's just everybody.
He doesn't care.
Put them away, boys. Put them away.
Calm down. But then MiSo is asked what she needs for her days off, and then it's brought up, oh, that's right, she's leaving.
In a week.
And yeah, she has a week left. And then everybody just kind of gets a little sad, a little wistful.
Solemn.
And MiSo gets to her desk and starts to think about how long she's been there. And she starts to wonder, is YeongJoon going to let me go, or is he going to try to hold on to me again? Mm-hmm. Like when I first told him that I was going to leave, and he was, I don't give second chances, but I'm going to give you this chance. Oh, remember, I don't give chances, but I'm going to give you this chance. And so she's having this not necessarily unfounded, concern, yeah.
Well, and she says he's already in bulldozer mode. I don't know how he's going to react to this if I bring it up again. But I also think there's a small part of her that's kind of looking around the room and taking it in and seeing this team with fondness, because she basically raised them up. You know what I mean? She's probably been there the longest.
On that team, yeah.
Has helped to hand select these people that are there to surround the vice chairman, and so in a way they're kind of like her babies.
Yeah.
And to walk away from that would be really hard.
When you poured so much of your life into it.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Always a BTS reference. But she walks into YeongJoon's office. She has the contract from the recent Paris deal that he had finalized. And he asks her, what are my lunch plans? And she goes, well, you have a friend that is opening a restaurant and you're supposed to go. And he's like, okay. Well, do you want to come with? And she's like, can I do that?
Is that a thing? Is that
allowed? So they kind of, he gets to mix a little business and pleasure of I get to take my girlfriend out on a date. Yeah. And I'm still doing my job.
On the company card.
Hey,
I mean, it's
why
all
not?
on the company card.
It's true. It is true. So when they're walking to the restaurant, she learns that this friend had refused her position as the heir of the Jin Young group. And she's like, oh.
Childhood friend.
And so, yeah, their parents know each other. They've been friends since they were 5.
They studied in the States together.
And as they walk up, we see this very beautiful woman turn and yell, YeongJoon, and run up and give him this big hug.
Which we've talked about touching in Korea is kind of a big deal.
And MiSo's just like, excuse me?
Excuse you.
Audacity, where did you find it? But then this...
Put it away.
Yeah. This woman looks at YeongJoon and goes, do you still do that whole thing?
Oh, and that sets off MiSo. She is not impressed.
But what's funny about that is we haven't seen that for so long.
Yeah.
And YeongJoon just goes, Ara! That is how you do it.
You have to make it big and grand like that.
You're not doing this correctly. And so, yeah, we're jealous.
Oh, little green monsters.
We are so jealous.
Yeah. Rearing its ugly head.
Well, and so we learned that this woman is Jung Yumi. I'm assuming I'm saying that correctly.
Jung Yumi.
And she tells MiSo, I'm so glad to meet you. He's never brought a girl around before. You are super pretty. She's totally hyping her up.
Right.
And they get into the restaurant, and Yumi walks up to him again and is like, I'm really glad that you're dating somebody. She's like, I was a little concerned there for a while because I thought you liked me.
And MiSo does not appreciate that observation at all. Well, to be fair, I don't know if I would either, but especially being so fresh into the dating scene like that. But I think she meant it well. She didn't mean it to be anything underhanded.
Threatening. But she was like, YeongJoon is just why would you think about something or worry about something so completely
impossible
and utterly implausible
Ouch.
Oh, well, but then she goes, well, yeah, but you asked me to marry you. And MiSo's face is like,
do I cry? Do I
stab
murder
with
her?
you? Do I stab you?
Do I?
June?
Yeah, exactly.
And she's like, oh, when we were 5, he asked me to marry him. And, MiSo's like, okay.
Yumi had stepped away to go help some customers, and MiSo and YeongJoon are kind of going rounds on this whole topic of having a female friend because,
She's never seen it before.
No, she's not seen Friends. And
other than Yushik.
For it to be this very young, attractive, bubbling woman and there have to not be any history, MiSo's like, yeah, okay, sure.
Well,
sure. Was she your other secretary before me? Just kidding. But Yumi brings a jar to YeongJoon to open, and MiSo realizes, maybe there is a little significance to asking your significant other to do these menial tasks for you. Even if you can do them yourself,
right.
There's something to allowing them to do them for you because clearly it's getting under your skin.
And what's so cute is before that, she is stabbing her pasta and is aggressively eating it. And YeongJoon's just like, wait, are you jealous? And she goes, me? Jealous? I don't know what you're talking about. And he's just staring at her like, oh my God, you're the cutest thing.
Well, he never sees her not be composed. And so I think the only other time that we've maybe seen it is when MiSo was talking to Jia about YeongJoon being dateable or not dateable. She got the crazy eyes. The crazy eyes have made an appearance again.
He did. But, he's, of course, completely endeared with her right now.
Oh, yes.
As they go to leave, MiSo gets a phone call, and so she walks away, leaving them alone to talk for a minute. And, he asked her, he's like, are you happy with your choice? Is this what you wanted to do? And Yumi says how she knows that people thought she was crazy for giving up her position. And she's like, but honestly, the idea of inheriting my entire company stressed me out.
Yeah.
And
as it would.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like any fun. But she's like, I'm really happy that I made the decision to live for myself, to do what I wanted to do.
In spite of it not being the logical thing to do.
Right. And, you just see YeongJoon kind of just thinking.
It clicks.
A little bit more than he's not thinking about himself.
Well, it's outside of his personal interests. His friend having, giving him this picture of what her life could have been and what it was and what she wanted. And it wasn't this notion of the woman he loved running away from him, but his friend pursuing something that she wanted to do. And so he was able to tie that back to what MiSo was asking. Not to run away from him, but to run towards something new.
Right. But we're in the car. MiSo is seething still. She pulls out her water bottle and remembers that Yumi had, run up and asked for him to open the jar. And so she's throwing a tantrum here. And she goes, open this bottle for me, Oppa.
And he about has a mini stroke. Well, he's gonna wreck the car.
He does more. He does a quadruple take, and he's like,
he goes, hang on, I need to record this. Say it again.
Because she said it 2 or 3 times.
She does, yeah.
And she's like, you asked for opportunities, and I'm giving you one.
Yeah.
And
then she also asks him to stop saying aura in front of other people.
Because it's not funny.
He goes, the way you are now, I have never even had the greed to keep precious artworks. The jealous you, I want to keep with me forever. She gets mad and opens the water bottle herself.
Well, and then he keeps calling her a jealous girl, and she's like, I'm not. And then he calls her a bulldozer of jealousy. Full circle.
Goodness. I love it.
And then our next favorite part is
they arrive at the parking garage.
And YeongJoon, of course, is, looking for opportunities. And he goes, he's like, do you need Oppa to carry your bag for you? It looks heavy.
She's like, no.
And then I love, my favorite one is, does Oppa need to carry you? Does Oppa need to cheer up my MiSo?
He is
living his best life right now.
Yeah, relishing the fact that she just called him Oppa of her own volition. So she just kind of walks away and leaves him to be entertained with himself.
Which he is.
He is fully entertained. We kind of get a brief glimpse of Sungyeon again, shopping with his mom, and he seems to be doing well. And, you know, his dad is passed out on the couch with his book. He goes, I can see it really, you know, captivated him. And she says, if you made it 5 pages, you're in good shape. So it was just kind of a cool little moment to see that, you know, the family is repairing itself.
Right, there's
in the background.
The relationships are actually being worked on.
Yeah.
It wasn't just
words.
talk.
So SeRa, Secretary Young, they're having a secret rendezvous in the stairwell. They start to plan this, you know, really cutesy little date, and there are some coworkers that happen to be coming down the stairs at the same time. So she goes from doting on him to, you know, touching his shoulders,
stroking his cheeks,
pinching his cheeks, to like beating him over the head, telling
shoving him in the
do
wall.
Do a better job. And there's this whole interaction where they're like, wow, Chief Bong, you're kind of scary, girl. And
like, do we need to report this?
Yeah. And she goes, just, this is between us. And, you know, Secretary Young's like, yeah, I messed up, so I deserve it, so you don't need to go, you know, spreading it around. But after those two leave, SeRa asks if he's okay, and he goes, my face is okay, but my heart hurts.
Poor guy.
He's so squishy.
He is. He is such a teddy bear.
He is, for being this heroic guy who always sweeps in, who always looks, you know, trying to look super masculine. He gets his feelings hurt. His feeler got bent.
Well, she was being kind of horrible.
Scary. That was a little intense. But they go back into the office, and someone comments that Secretary Young's job is actually in danger if MiSo keeps driving the vice chairman everywhere, because they had just left the office together. Mm-hmm. And SeRa goes, my Secretary Young is super important, and everyone just kind of stares at her like, your Secretary Young?
What?
And she goes, you know what I mean, like, ours, because he's great, and
he's a part of our team.
There's just no recovery from that.
But of course he has this big old smirk, and
he's
like,
he thinks it's great.
I'm loved. All right, YeongJoon is taking MiSo back to the hospital, and then he asks her if it's okay that he's taking her, and she was like, yes, but she's like, you know, I could have taken the bus, and he's like, no, my MiSo was tired, so of course Oppa should. And she's like, okay, you need to stop now.
Oppa.
Should
have gotten some Subway on the way there.
Oh, dang it. Well, then, so YeongJoon's like, okay, fine. But then he starts talking about, he's like, you know, father, or like, it must be hard on sister-in-law to take care of father-in-law. And she's like, what now? Sorry?
What's with the title thing?
And he goes, wait, you weren't thinking about marrying me? Like, was this just casual dating? And she's like, well, you know, apparently you just ask people to marry you all the time. And he's like, okay, now you need to stop. And she's like, okay, fine. They get all like funny with each other, and then they just start bursting into laughter. And you like, that's how you know that's all it took. It wasn't like a whole dramatic thing. It's very cute. And then he walks her into the hospital, and because she's like, you know, you could have just dropped me off. It's fine. And he's like, no, I want to make sure you get there. And she goes to fix his tie again. This is habit. And then we just see her dad. Get me so. She chokes YeongJoon with his tie.
She has got to stop doing that.
These poor men are getting choked.
She's gonna be like the notorious tie strangler or something on the news. So MiSo's father officially meets YeongJoon. YeongJoon is visibly uncomfortable.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And her father is criticizing him for how hard she has had to work all of these years. And YeongJoon says, you know, sir, you should really speak informally to me. And her father goes, well, no, because you're MiSo's boss. I need to be respectful. And he goes, no, I insist. And he goes, no, you're her boss. And then he finally reveals that actually I am dating your daughter. And her father states that he is strictly against this relationship, and YeongJoon looks like he just swallowed a fly.
He's like, what?
But then he has to leave to answer a work call from the office. And as soon as he steps at the door, MiSo's father is like, I want him.
I love him. He's now mine.
I need to make him mine. He is just over the moon with this catch of a man that his daughter's brought home. And he thinks that, you know, the tougher he is on YeongJoon, then the harder this guy is going to work for his approval to gain access into their family or whatever. It was kind of cute.
That's a total dad moment, too.
Oh, yeah. Gotta bring up the shotgun at prom or whatever.
Of course. YeongJoon comes back in, and Miso's dad's like, we need to go have a talk. Like, will you come get coffee with me?
Mm-hmm.
And we get another glimpse into Miso as a child, and how she's always just taking care of other people. You know, how she just puts a smile on her face. And he's like, you can't always trust that smile.
Yeah, he says, even if that girl smiles brightly, you can't believe her every time. Even in the most difficult situations, she tends to bear it with a smile. That was kind of sad.
Yeah, and you can see, like, him feeling guilt of, like, I never wanted my child to have to be responding to things like this. When I was having a hard time, this little girl of mine told me, it's okay, Dad. Like, we got, like, and she took care of it. He's like, that, I don't like that. So whatever she wants to do, I want her to have the chance to become happy and to figure out what she wants. You know, YeongJoon's already had a similar conversation like this today. And so he has a lot to think about. And
while the guitar motif plays for the first time in forever, it was great. I got excited.
I bet you did. I was waiting for it too. So YeongJoon takes Miso home, and she's like, why do you have such a serious face? Like, you've had a serious face all day long. And I love his response. He's like, are you sure it's not just because I'm seriously good looking?
Oh,
YeongJoon.
How do you put up with those kinds of comments all day?
Smile on your face.
Well, he's kind of coming to the realization that he knows that he has to support her. If he's going to love her, he's got to champion her in this endeavor to figure out who she is as a person. And
well, in the dream that she doesn't know that she may or may not have. She's
her
never
dream
had the
is to
chance.
have a dream.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, she just doesn't know what she wants. But on the flip side of the coin, Miso is also realizing that she is maybe in some strange way her dream has found her.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the way that she's been looking at, you know, her role and the people that are in her life. And so I think she's maybe second guessing some of
I'm just
her
thinking
intentions.
things through a little more seriously.
Yeah, what would she be missing out on here if she went to pursue something else?
Right.
Somewhere else.
But I do think it's very sweet that YeongJoon's like, you know, you can take your time to figure out what it is. I'm going to be by your side. And when you do figure out, I have to be the first one that you tell. Because I want to help you.
Really cute.
So he's very sweet about it. We get another Gia and Queen moment at the office.
There's a little bit of tension.
Just a touch. Literally, because they're making, like, copies are being made and they touch hands and they're both just like,
the ET spark.
What do I do now?
We have Gossip Man, Secretary Jung.
Never fails.
Bust in the room. This is an ultimate secret that no one is supposed to hear. Only those that can handle it gather here.
Well, he, like, looks around the room first and, like, is, like, checking as if there's cameras.
Well, and they finally call him out for, like, never actually knowing what the heck is going on in the office and just jumping on, like, the slightest rumors.
Right.
But he reveals that a company couple has been born.
And there's proof.
And there's proof. And SeRa starts to beg him not to reveal this proof, thinking that anyone would actually care that she is involved in some kind of
scandal.
Lover scandal, yes. And it comes out that the vice chairman and Kim Miso are dating.
Mm-hmm. And there's proof because somebody saw them holding hands on a date.
Uh-huh.
And poor Gia is just like, oh,
I need to go rescue her.
Crap.
I need to warn her and be a good friend. But Kim Miso actually walks in the room at that point, and everyone kind of acts a little weird because they're thinking,
crap, she heard us.
One wrong move is going to lead to our dismissal. She's been reporting all of this to the vice chairman. We are so screwed. Obviously, we know that that's not Miso at all. But
right. Afterwards, you know, after this funky interaction here with her office clan, Miso brings YeongJoon some documents, and YeongJoon just is like, I'm not gonna have moments with you like this anymore, and it's making me sad. Like I'm gonna miss this.
Yeah, it's a season of lasts for him.
So he gets kind of sad, and he gets up and he hugs her from behind, and he's just like, you know, having a moment. And MiSo looks out the little window from his office, and SeRa, Gia, and Secretary Jang they're just staring through the window,
like in disbelief at what they're seeing.
And MiSo's like, I want to die. Like,
she just like super spy runs over and grabs the remote and shuts the curtain. And YeongJoon decides the only thing left to do is to just come clean.
When he's like, yeah, this is gonna be better.
This is fine. Everything is fine.
It's great.
MiSo stops the team later and asks them if they could, you know, be discreet about the whole situation, but then they inform her that, you know, the news has already spread throughout the company and it's kind of out of their hands at that point. And the way that people are speaking about MiSo is so cruel.
Well, and I mean, there's always going to be that element of
jealousy.
Well, jealousy and of like, oh, we need to walk on eggshells now. I don't know what's going to be said. So everyone starts to treat her differently. Of like, oh, am I going to get fired if I do something incorrect because she's going to tell on me?
But being spiteful about it.
Vicious.
Yeah.
Very vicious.
They're saying that she's in her position because of her looks or because she slept with the vice chairman or, you know, just all these terrible things. And we hear these couple of women in a bathroom that are really just going to town on her.
They're being horrible.
And then busting out of the stalls comes SeRa and Gia, and they are like ready to like come to her defense.
Roll, let's go.
Oh my goodness. And then they're actually accused of defending her because they're trying to get a leg up in the company, you know, when things start to have to like where the chips start to fall anyway.
Right.
And then we have this fight to the death with the mops.
Oh my gosh. First of all, SeRa is hilarious. We've mentioned this many times.
Oh my gosh.
She is so dramatic. I love her. Because she like gets in this one woman's face and is like, you want to say that again, basically? Like, let's go. And they both grab the mops. And the other woman just has like the mop head in SeRa's face.
Okay, but can we talk about SeRa's lipstick? Because she just got her face mopped and it came out immaculate.
Where did you get that lipstick and can I have some?
We need to know. If anybody knows.
Well, because then it's funny because then Gia and the other women are like huddled together because they're like, I don't want to actually be part of this. And then they realize who they're next to and they're like, ew.
They're like,
gross.
So MiSo walks in, you know, in the midst of all of this and stops the altercation and then...
By accidentally shoving the other two women in a stall.
Well, you know, details. But she tends to their wounds for them and just reassures them that, you know, she doesn't want anyone to get hurt over this. People are going to talk. You should just let them. Doesn't need to be a thing.
Right.
But
well, because the girls go, is there a way that you can talk to the vice chairman and get them sent to Indonesia as revenge? And she's like, yeah, I don't want him to know.
Yeah, because she's not trying to bother him with, you know...
petty.
Yeah, it's just something she's going to have to deal with, and her bringing the vice chairman into everything is going to just make them right.
Right.
You leveraging her position with YeongJoon to get what she needs. Right. And that's not what she's trying to do.
No, not at all.
So Yushik tells YeongJoon what's happening anyway, because, you know, word gets around, and of course Secretary Seoul is going to know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure she told Yushik, but YeongJoon just can't fathom why people would be treating her this way, and he wants to be there for her, but he isn't supposed to know, and Yushik is just trying to explain that, you know, you are who you are, and the people around you are always going to be at risk because...
of who you are.
Who you are and what you do and your position. YeongJoon goes to MiSo, asks her to prepare a trip to go to Daegu to check on a department store.
That originally he wasn't even going to go to.
Right. It had been on the schedule, and he said, you know, you can take it off the schedule. It's not really necessary, but he decides, you know, we'll go anyway. So...
to get out of the office, just to...
yeah.
breathe a little bit, perhaps.
Right. Get kind of... you know, in a roundabout way, getting MiSo away from her aggressors.
Right.
From the mop heads.
cut back to SeRa and Gia, and they're huddled together, walking back to their desks, and
feeling a bit
they're
battle worn.
And they're just a little bit dramatic. Shocker. But the whole office stands up and they're like, "Are you like? Why would you do that? Why are we getting into fights?" And they're like, they were talking crap basically about MiSo, and we're not gonna let that happen. Like, we're part of a team.
We love her. She's great.
And Secretary Yang, he's
beside himself,
not handling this well. He's like ready to throw things. And she's just like looking at him with her injury and just like, her little cute pout. And
yeah.
But then at the same time, we see Queen just looking at Gia, and he's just like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Aww.
And it's so sweet. Of course, SeRa and Secretary Yang, they're not so subtly, talking about this, and she's like, "It's okay, I'm okay." And he's still super upset, and he texts her, and he's like, "Look in your drawer," and he has like a little pain patch. He's like, "You can't get hurt.
Yeah, please don't hurt."
And then we have this like pause where they're just staring at each other.
And all the activity and the bustle around the office, but there's just them. They're locking eyes. They had their own mini K-drama.
Oh my gosh.
It's so great.
So after the meeting, YeongJoon tells MiSo, "Okay, we're going on a date." And they just start walking, and he plays photographer. And he's like, "Okay, go over here. I want you to I'm going to take some great pictures of you." And he gets in some hilarious poses. And the thing is
the deep squat.
Oh, deep lunge.
How do you not split your pants?
I don't know. Those are some solid material.
Some flexibility there.
But then, they take pictures together and like pictures of their shadows, and it's all cute and sweet. They go up to an observation deck, and he tells her that the view is just like her. It's without flaw.
Oh.
And he's like, "Of course, I'm up here.
It doesn't hurt."
Look at it.
Oh.
Basically. I mean, it's YeongJoon, of course. He has to insert himself in some...
He's still beautiful. We all know it, and he wants to make sure you know.
We appreciate it. MiSo then tells him that she knows that it was a distraction, that he was, just trying to make her feel better. And then she tells him, I never really cared what people thought. I mean, I can't. It's also not worth it. I'm going to still do my job. That doesn't change how I feel. Because he asked her, "Do you want to move up your resignation day?" And she's like, "No, I'm going to stay till my final day."
Yeah, she's not going to run away from it.
Right. And she even tells him, "I could not love you if I couldn't handle this. If I couldn't handle the hard, if I
she knew it was coming in some form."
Right. And so she's like, "If I couldn't handle that, then I wouldn't be able to love you." She asks him if he wants to go on a hot date.
And he's like, yes.
Please. And they go to this like a little street vendor, and he's like,
"Tokbao.
This is what you wanted?"
It's like the bondegi. Chicken feet.
Just was watching a YouTube video for Kim's recommendation, and
shout out to our boys at Jolly and Korean Englishmen.
Because I was watching it, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to try chicken feet one day.
Maybe
I don't
not
think I
those
can
ones.
try those. Looks
They ended up in a hospital. That's kind of all you need to know.
So, but then they just, are enjoying each other. The next morning, MiSo gets into work, and the team is panicking. Like, they're freaking out. A competing company has released the same design of a tablet a month before they were supposed to release theirs. And this is a big deal because they're like, clearly there's
major implications here.
Well, there's some plagiarism. There's like somebody's stealing our ideas.
Public perception is going to drop through the floor if they release theirs after the fact, because it will look like they plagiarized their ideas.
Right. And so YeongJoon walks in, and he's like, "Okay, MiSo, I need you to get a meeting set up. We need to figure out what's going on." They have a meeting. The meeting's a little bit of a disaster. To be fair, it's
last minute.
Everybody just found this information out. Because he has all these questions, and nobody can give him an
They don't
answer.
have any ideas how to resolve this or what can be done.
He's like, "Okay, well, we're going to have a meeting tomorrow, and I expect some ideas. I expect, some of these things to be figured out. At least have an idea of a plan even."
Basically, he said, steal our own ideas from the next release. And they're like, "Won't that affect the next release?" And he goes, "You think that we're guaranteed a next release if we can't get this fixed.
Right. Like, use your brain here. And so he walks out. Like, a couple of the executives are, like, begging Miso to, like, put in a good word. Like, please help us. And part of it, I don't know if it's just because she is a secretary or if they also are like, hey, your girlfriend too.
I'm sure it's half and half.
Probably a little bit. And she was like, listen, I know. Because they're like, we just found out about this too. And she's like, yeah, I'm sure he knows that. And, like, gives them ideas on how to help them
work on the press release, have this prepared for
legal.
Later. Yeah.
Because then I think my favorite part of that scene is Yushik just looks at her and he goes, Oma?
And she goes, what? He says, you just remind me of how it was when I used to be comforted by my mother after my father had just chastised me.
Like, that tracks.
She just kind of smiled a little bit. I don't think she minded the comparison, but
she walks into her team's office and is like, okay, everybody, she assigns them jobs. And it's like, she didn't even have to think about it. I was like, okay, you go to legal, you go here, you work on press release, you know, you get all of the information, get familiar with it, because, like, we need to have answers, we need to have stuff figured out. Yeonjoon's in his office, and she walks in, and she just has everything all in folders, lays it out. Here's legal, here's for PR, here's this, and he just looks at her and goes, you know, like, I'm so grateful that I've had you, and I didn't realize how relaxed I was to have you by my side all these years. Do you think I'll ever find another secretary like you?
No.
And that's, he is just,
it wasn't like, meant to guilt her. It was just his observation. And
right, he's very thankful for the fact that
she's so good.
Yeah, he can relax.
Honestly, as you were talking about this, I was like, what does he even do? Besides reads the reports and then make a decision. What does he do?
we did hear him, you know, at the very beginning of the show, like, complicated math and business plans and
yeah, I'm sure he does a lot. It just, in this particular case, it sure looked like Miso did the heavy lifting. Anyway,
after all of this, the team gets a chance to eat. They have some pizza, and they just look at Miso because she walks in. She's like, "Oh, you're eating, Kate. You know, thank you so much for all your hard work."
Right.
And they just look at her and they're like, what are we gonna do when you're gone?
Well, they're like, we wish everyone could have seen you in action today. They would have never said what they said because you
are good at what you do.
You obviously earned your way up to this position.
Right. And then, you know, she goes back to her desk and picks up one of her folders and starts flipping through it. And it's all these pictures from her early days with YeongJoon and how she's always been by his side. And she just kind of just, like, stares at it and just, like, I think in that moment she's made a decision.
YeongJoon offers her a ride home.
Well, he comes in to where the office is as well, and Queen Nam and Secretary Jung and the other guy just, like, all rush up with pizza and, like, here we go, do you want a bite?
Have
do you need some food?
Pizza.
Like, are you good? But yeah, so he comes in and asks her, you know, can I take you home? And as they're walking up to her house, you know, they get out of the car and she's like, I need to tell you something. I have decided that I'm going to stay at the company because I want to stay by your side.
Well, his reaction is so interesting because he doesn't just immediately be like, great, I'm so glad you changed your mind. He's like, are you sure this is what you want?
Right, you're not just making a decision after today.
I'm fine if you need to go do what you need to do. Don't worry about me. This is not about me. This is about you. And she's like, this is where I want to be.
But this is my dream.
Yeah, you are my dream. It's so sweet.
It is very sweet. And she's like, I found my dream and it's being Secretary Kim.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, when you have, all jobs suck across the board. It doesn't matter if it's your dream job. Like, there is in some way, shape, or form, it's going to suck.
Absolutely.
And it's the people that you work with that really make or break what you do. And I think that's kind of what she found, was that the people that she had surrounded herself with were her people. And she was okay with that.
And she didn't want to necessarily leave them.
Yeah.
But she tells him, you know, I love solving problems and what I do. And frankly, who else can handle you if it's not me?
Literally.
I have to do your tie because you can't handle it. So. But she's like, but also I love you and I want to be at your side. But then she goes, you know, you didn't eat today. And he just goes, should I go inside and eat some ramen? My favorite part about this is he learns that there are different types of ramen.
Yeah.
Because she pulls out, she's like, I don't know if I have any left. Pulls out her last packet and she goes, oh, we can make some dumpling ramen. And he goes, what? She's like, if you put frozen dumplings in, it's dumpling ramen. If you put cheese in it, it's cheesy ramen.
Mm-hmm. If you put tok in, it's tteokbokki ramen.
Right. And he's like, all right.
All right, bet.
Let's go. But she sits down next to him and she's like, I'm just so happy. And actually one of my dreams is to spend the evening cooking with my husband. And she realizes what she says and just is like, I'm gonna get
retracting
up and go.
Statement immediately.
And he pulls her down and he's like, I'll make that dream come true.
Mm-hmm.
I am happy to fill up my body with MSG. Which, I mean, if he has hardly ever had
Yeah.
the amount of sodium that is in.
I would think he'd probably have a little bit of a blood pressure spike.
just a touch. But he tells her, I want to be Miso's husband. I want to marry Kim Miso.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, and he goes, why do you object? She's like, doesn't say anything. He kisses her.
Goes to kiss her.
Okay, he goes to kiss her, and we just hear, objection!
I object!
I have an objection in regards to your marriage.
And her father pops up out of her bed, which...
Why?
Why are you in her bed? And why have you not said anything up to this point? Why are you just chilling there, acting like you're not creeping?
Poor YeongJoon is about to die.
He's gonna have a coronary. That
he's
man
holding his heart and
can't even
choking.
breathe. Oh my gosh.
And he's like, father-in-law, like he wants to be deceased at this moment.
Oh, as you would.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would agree.
Because poor Miso is just like, Dad, why are you? Like, what?
At least she wasn't fixing his tie.
True.
Because I think he may have actually been deceased.
Probably at that point. And that is how we end the episode. Be a girlfriend, yeah.
Character of the hour.
Oh. I think YeongJoon. Because there's a lot of support now. He has figured out how to be there for Miso and has learned more about her as a child, how she always is, and like realizing that he really does care about her being happy and her being able to figure out what she wants to do. Mm-hmm. And he's learned to care about somebody more than himself. There's more compromises that I think he is more than happy to make. Also, I just loved all of the Oppa scenes where he was just like, need Oppa to carry your bag? Need Oppa to carry
you? Those were gold.
They're so good. Who's yours?
I think Miso is mine because she is given an easy way out of the drama and just the stress of everything that's happening surrounding their relationship, but she chooses not to save face but to have integrity, I think. Because she knows who she is. She's not worried about what other people think. She knows that her friends think highly of her, and it's kind of what makes her who she is, to smile in the face of adversity. So
yeah, that's true.
Because I don't know that I wouldn't just run away. If an entire company of people had it out for me with a mop, I would probably hide. But I don't have the resilience she does. So I don't know. I was just kind of impressed with her priorities being in order, and wanting to do her job, wanting to do it well, and just being a bit unwavering about it. But any last thoughts?
No, but we only have 2 episodes left.
I'm excited.
I am too.
I love this show. It holds a special place in my heart, so I'm really excited we got to do it.
It is a great show.
It is.
I'm really enjoying the rewatch. I think more than I thought I would.
Yeah, same. I was a little worried that I'd be kind of bored with it just because I've seen it a couple of times. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's been years since I've revisited this one because it wasn't free on Viki anymore.
Oh, no.
No, it's really...
We are enjoying it.
It's proving to have maintained over the years, so...
Which is great.
All right. Let's go catch some Z's now.
It's time.
It's time. like what you're hearing, go ahead and hit that follow button so that you don't miss out on any new episodes. Thanks for listening to the K-Drama Show with Ashley and Kim. We'll see you next time.